Hi everyone! Backed by popular demand, I'm here with another K-pop design/art direction analysis. We will once again be talking about FX, also known as my favorite K-pop group of all time and one of my biggest design inspirations. This video was made possible by a trip my family and I took to Korea back in 2015. While visiting relatives, I grew obsessed with scouring the CD and bookstores for K-pop albums, FX albums in particular. My parents let middle school me get carried away, and before I knew it, I had FX's entire discography on CD. I bought 4 Walls later in 2016 to complete my collection. I thought it'd be a fun little throwback to explore the unique book design of all 7 albums in chronological order and see how the group's visual artistry developed over time. Let's get started. We begin with New ABO, FX's debut mini-album. Already, this has to be one of the coolest album cover artworks I've ever seen. The pastel blue and pink, the blurry portrait of Soli, the mysterious lace blindfold over her eyes, and the warped, offset typography all come together to create a dreamy atmosphere. The back cover, in contrast to the front, feels a little more grungy and hints at the handwritten and hand-drawn motifs we'll see throughout the booklet. There's an abandoned toy and shards of glass scattered across the ground, showcasing some roughness to balance out the softer elements. The cover definitely leaves a strong impression. Once opening the book, I instantly take note of the grainy pastel quality of the photos. Pencil doodles and handwriting are littered throughout the book, giving it a candid feel, with repeated illustrations of flowers referencing the group name symbolizing flower reminiscent of women. Adding to this is a subtle scratched texture distributed across almost all pages. Tying in with the hand-drawn style, there are splashes of watercolor on many of the spreads. The group members appear to be loitering on empty streets and in abandoned structures, with aged pavement and concrete serving as the backdrop of many photographs, aligning with the grunge factor I mentioned before. Fashion leans toward the chaotic maximalism of early 2010s K-pop, heavily featuring clashing patterns and color block hairstyles. Overall, the design feels intentionally messy, down to earth with a charming, carefree attitude. It definitely solidified FX as SM's experimental girl group. Next is an album whose book design has actually grown to be my favorite of all 6, Pinocchio. First off, I just love how sturdy and compact this album feels. It has this cool holographic cover, and you can instantly tell that we're going for a cutout, dress-up paper doll concept. This scrapbook style feels both nostalgic and kitschy. As you can see, the designs feature a very similar hand-drawn and written style to the previous album, and it takes it to another level with even the lyrics being handwritten. Some pages are just completely covered in scribbles, and there are a lot of great uses of multimedia collage in this book. I love the candid feel of the flash photography, and it seems that the girls are mostly lounging around and playing dress up in an office space, perhaps in the SM building. I love the juxtaposition between the mundane office space with the kooky styling and illustrations. However, I am also drawn to these images of the girls less done up and in more casual clothing, just fooling around with each other. It makes the creative direction feel all the more playful and genuine. All in all, the album feels like a mixtape that the idols actually put together themselves, but as we all know on this channel, it takes a meticulous craft to make something that looks this effortlessly stylish. It's such a cute album, I just love it.
Do it, it's true, it's true, do it, too.
To be honest, this album booklet is my least favorite of the bunch. I'm assuming that because it was a repackage, not much time and effort was put into the creative direction. Basically, the concept was the color red, to match the scorching hot summer that the members sing of. This album packaging definitely tries to make a bold statement, with it being the only album to have this sort of vertical flipbook style. I can appreciate the campy aspects of the album design, like with this harsh heart pattern and the peculiar accessories. I also commend the team for keeping all elements a very consistent tone of red. These photos of Victoria in particular are really nice, in my opinion. That hand-drawn style is carried over from the first 2 albums. This album cover is pure beauty. It takes on an illustration style reminiscent of the detailed pencil drawings of children fairy tale storybooks. The artwork takes on a slightly nightmarish, darker style, with all members' faces obstructed by animal masks and with a very limited, almost black and white color palette. The bear head in the corner with its eyes creepily crossed out is a motif carried throughout the album. I love the logo types on the front cover and spine of the book. The back cover references the group's first 3 albums with its very loud collage style. When you open the album, the booklet boasts an inverted color version of the cover, making it feel like you're on an acid trip or experiencing an electric shock about to enter a new dimension. The CD has a penciled rabbit on it with the hole placed perfectly on its left eye. Very Alice in Wonderland. I find it oddly satisfying how this foam piece is in the exact same shade of pink as the booklet on the right. The images feel straight out of a wicked fairy tale. The members appear to be playing make-believe in a forest, immersing themselves into the fantastical and whimsical nature of this comeback. But while it resembles a fairy tale, you sense a darker underbelly. They wear huge and unnaturally colored lenses and lots of frilly, gauzy clothes. That same storybook illustration style fills the pages of this booklet, more detailed and sophisticated compared to the hand-drawn method used on the previous 3 albums. Paired with this is a cleaner, more simple and logical style of photo collage. There's also a shift to more serif fonts. I find it interesting that they chose to lean into the whimsy of Electric Shock as a song, because you'd expect them to go with something that references technology and electricity. I enjoyed that subversion. I also like these spreads where text and illustration are printed in different ink colors. They remind me of risographs. There's also a textual motif repeated throughout the book, the words flower of any member's name written as a function. This ties into the meaning of FX as both a function and its flower symbolism. It also serves as an introduction to the group's interest in low-res pixel fonts, which in this case aligns with the mathematical element of their identity as a group.
Come with me. Airplane. Love.
Speaking of pixels, we now move on to Pink Tape. I've already talked about this album's design in a past video I'll link here, so I won't go too deep into it. For a quick overview, it resembles a pink VHS tape for a retro high-teen romance film. The photographs resemble Hong Kong cinema from the 1990s, very hazy, moody, and rich in color. The whole book is in a film aspect ratio, and most images are paired with a subtitle, fleshing out the cinematic narrative concept of this album. These, along with all other typography, are displayed in a low-res pixel typeface with a thick stroke, emphasizing the retro inspiration that the album is referencing. And of course, there's a lot of pink throughout the booklet. This disc is very cute and fitting as well, looking like the inner wheel of an actual VHS cassette. This is probably FX's most visually iconic and cohesive album.
Are you ready for it?
Our next album is Red Light. If I remember correctly, there are supposed to be 2 versions of this album. They were released around the same time that multiple versions of one album became common practice in the K-pop industry to boost album sales and revenue. These designs feel the most mature yet. Layout and typography are minimal and simple, using small sans serif fonts and centered bodies of text. Gone are the days of FX's penchants for eclectic collage. The photographs are dark and moody, and this is by far the group's least visually colorful album. The girls don eye patches and smoky makeup, traversing grass fields, vacant rooms, and bare cityscapes, somber expressions on their faces, all culminating in an apocalyptic, eerie look and feel embodying the mood of Red Light. Due to its name, you may expect the album design to exhibit a lot of red, but interestingly enough it doesn't, maybe because they already have an all-red album. Here, the photography overshadows the design. Additionally, there's no illustration, and I think this is fitting as the group completely breaks off from its scrapbook roots and takes on a more serious tone. It reflected the women being in a more mature stage of their lives. Once again, we see a lot of grainy film photography, but this time, rather than feeling nostalgic, it adds a slightly unsettling emotional aspect. Because when you look at these pictures, you're not really quite sure what's happening or what you're looking at. But in that sense, I think that the photography for this album is some of the most interesting that FX has produced. The comeback is special for possessing that haunting quality that stands the test of time. finally, the legendary Four Walls. I've spoken a lot about this one as well in that same aforementioned video, so again I'll do a speed run. Immediately, the contrast between purple and orange is unique, bold enough to catch the eye and intriguing because one wouldn't usually think to put those colors together. The sleek incorporation of geometric shapes to illustrate the four walls in question is genius. The back cover features one of any of the four members. Typography takes a backseat again with the non-flashy sans serif font. However, the composition of said text is both organized and experimental in its utilization of a 3-column layout. The photographs are tributes to pop art, recalling the group's love for all things retro. They are simple while displaying a masterful understanding of color, pattern, and composition. This album is a prime example of less is more. This album, through color, type, layout, photography, and flat illustrations, exhibits an understated elegance that I have yet to see replicated in K-pop. And that was the last album. I hope you enjoyed me walking through FX's journey from eccentric maximalism to sleek minimalism. I think that these album designs showcase the transition from girl to woman. The first 3 albums display a sense of childlike play and innocence. Electric Shock and Pink Tape represent a coming of age during the teenage years of girlhood. Red Light and Four Walls encapsulate the dark and light of adulthood as fully realized women. I miss FX, but I am grateful that we will always have these artworks to look back on with fondness. There was and is truly no other K-pop act like FX, and they will forever be inspiring my own creative work.